Today, the courtroom gathered for sentencing in the case of People of the State of Michigan versus Brandon Lee Thomas, under file number 247175FH. Present in court were the defendant, represented by attorney Michelle R. Siv, and the people, represented by prosecutor Alexander. Earlier this year, Brandon Thomas had entered a guilty plea to the charge of aggravated stalking. Nathan Likas was responsible for preparing the pre-sentence investigation report, submitted in March 2025. When asked, the defense confirmed that both she and Mr. Thomas had reviewed the pre-sentence report. Aside from discussions surrounding sentencing guidelines, no major corrections or objections were raised. The defense attorney respectfully asked the court to consider an alternative to the 90-day jail recommendation, citing that Mr. Thomas owns and operates his own lawn and snow removal business, his only source of income, supporting both himself and his two young children. The defense emphasized that the children's mother was not involved in their upbringing, adding weight to their request for leniency regarding incarceration. However, the prosecutor pushed back firmly. He pointed out that the victim, Mr. Thomas's ex-wife, was not in court, not because of inconvenience, but because she was genuinely terrified of the defendant. He reminded the court that the final incident leading to Thomas's arrest had actually taken place within that very courthouse building, making her fear even more understandable. The prosecutor painted a disturbing picture of what Brandon Thomas had done. Immediately after his ex-wife filed for divorce, he retaliated by filing a mental health petition, having her taken into custody for evaluation, hoping to discredit her sanity. Although cleared of any mental health issues, she soon realized that everywhere she went in her small community, her ex-husband would somehow appear. Eventually, a mechanic discovered a hidden, hardwired GPS tracker installed on her car, a device that had been in place for years, but which was only reactivated once the divorce proceedings began. This wasn't a matter of an impulsive mistake, the prosecutor argued. It was deliberate, cold, calculating stalking, amplified by the use of a hardwired tracking device, one that allowed Thomas to monitor her every move without her knowledge for months, if not years. To drive the point home, the victim, Danielle Slater, bravely came forward to address the court despite her visible discomfort. Fighting through her anxiety, she described how Thomas's harassment hadn't stopped, not even with a court order in place. She recounted recent incidents where he confronted her boyfriend at a gas station, visited her co-worker's other place of employment, and even sent social media friend requests to people in her life in calculated moves to maintain control. She said plainly, "This won't stop unless the court makes it stop." With no children in common and having exhausted all personal and legal boundaries, Danielle pleaded with the court to issue a strong sentence to ensure her safety. She even expressed concern for her own child, who was unrelated to Thomas, stating that she sent him to live with his biological father purely out of fear. The defense argued that many of these incidents were indirect or circumstantial, and that Thomas had no prior felony record. They cited his steady employment and otherwise unremarkable criminal history, asking the court again to allow him to continue working to support his family, but the judge wasn't swayed. Reflecting on the facts, the court emphasized that while unfortunate relationships may break down, the appropriate response is always to move on, not to stalk, harass, or intimidate. The use of a sophisticated GPS tracking device crossed a serious line, demonstrating premeditated and manipulative behavior. Given the totality of the circumstances and the disturbing persistence of Thomas's actions, the court imposed a sentence of 5 years probation with strict conditions. No consumption of alcohol, mandatory drug testing, mental health evaluations, and most importantly, zero contact with the victim, either directly or indirectly. Additionally, the court imposed a 270-day jail sentence, with 90 days to be served immediately, and the remainder suspended pending successful completion of probation. There would be no work release privileges. The judge stressed the importance of consistency in sentencing and rejected the request for an exception, citing public safety concerns and the need for accountability. With those terms delivered, Brandon Thomas was remanded into custody. The judge offered one final directive, a clear, unambiguous order: no more contact, no excuses. Let it go, move on. The proceedings concluded with the formal advisement of appeal rights and court-appointed counsel if needed. Court was adjourned and the defendant was taken into custody.